All right. Well, kind of what you and me thought might happen ended up happening, Crom. Tennessee.
Yep. 10-point win.
Yeah. Double-digit win. We said if we were betting men, yeah, probably despite that crappy first half, Tennessee's probably still gonna pull something out and by margin. And that's exactly what they did. It wasn't necessarily easy. We're going to talk about it all. I'm Charlie Burris of A to Z Sports. That is Jonathan Crompton, former Vols quarterback. This is the A to Z Sports Big Orange Postgame Reaction Show, brought to you by the good folks at Zen Sports and Farm Bureau Health Plans. We'll talk about them in just a minute. But let's just get right down to it. Crump, Tennessee's offense got its act together to whatever extent, except at the same time, kind of didn't. I
know.
I mean, you scored 21 points in that second half. Some of that was a big Will Brooks interception where he helped you out a lot, got you down right to like the, inside the 10-yard line. And there was a lot there. Kentucky doesn't score over 20 points. They still have not scored over 20 points in an SEC game this season. But that, we all saw what we just saw. What'd you think, Grom?
That Dylan Sampson ended up with 27 carries.
You called that one.
I was like, I assumed around the 24 mark. He got 20 carries in the second half, broke the single season rushing record in touchdowns, and his about 23 yards away from 1,000 yards on the season now. So yeah, it's not the best of a win is a win. Let me say that first. But our leading receiver is our tight end tonight.
Yeah, Kitzelman.
I love when offenses have a valuable tight end. When you have a really good running back, side note, we do, and you have a very valuable tight end, that opens up a lot of stuff in the just in your offense, not just passing game, but your whole offense. But we need more production, not just the the 10-yard stop routes or what I call the smoke routes, where they're just trying to catch the ball from our receivers. And that's not on them, that's on the schematics. So I'm always going to be critical of that because I do think we have a very deep receiving core. I do. I've been vocal about that, but we need to get them more involved outside of 10 yards. So then Sampson can have a 200-yard night.
So here's my question about the wide receivers. Do they stink? I mean, what's the deal? Because I would say
that's our system. It's our system. What is the 1 year it wasn't that way? When we had Jalen Hyatt that can run a 4.340. Other than that, if you look at it, but this is Heupel's offense.
Well,
right? And that's just what it was. Or what it is, but it's productive. It's just not, if you don't have the 4.340 receiver, it's not flashy.
Well, I guess I asked that because I think you look at Brew, and obviously he's solid, will make plays for you, but you move beyond him and Squirrel too. Although I don't know that Squirrel's hands are the best.
Well, Squirrel's shoulder's injured right now too.
Yeah, and you have that whole factor. But I mean, you move down the list. Thornton Brazel, Nimrod in particular. Oh my gosh, that drop! I mean, that was a 60-yard touchdown and a throw that was in as tight of a window as you can get. I mean, that throw was absolutely perfect, right in the breadbasket, and that made me ill. That's why I asked that. At the same time, I'll ask this to not get too negative with the wide receivers. Was that Nico's best game as a quarterback? Because he was really slinging it at points there. I liked what we were seeing tonight in terms of his general progression, and there was pain because there were drops from the wide receivers, not necessarily much of what he did.
Well, I mean, statistically, yardage wise, you could say yes, it was his best game. Touchdown passing wise, he had one. Didn't need him to have any more. It would have been nice to have a few more, obviously, but didn't have to have it. He played well within the system. What we're learning about him is he's not going to be flashy. You don't have to have flashy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't. He's going to have good pocket movement, pocket presence, get to where he needs to get to, be able to extend a play, but it's not going to be the I guess what I'm trying, it doesn't look as he makes it look more effortless than like a Dylan Gabriel. Every time he moves around, it looks like he's, you know what I'm saying? It almost looks like it's max effort with Gabriel at Oregon. Nico's, so I'm not saying like it's not flashy, not that it's not good. I'm just saying it looks like it's slowing down for him now, which is a good thing. That's what we want.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. I think you're genuinely seeing progression. You're seeing him feel out the game of college football now much more, and that's really encouraging, because I think obviously that he has all the physical gifts.
He does, but let's go to the system though. 10 to 12-yard stop routes, smoke routes, go routes. That's what we're running right now. But if you go back and we go, statistically, 2022 or last year, blah, 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 it looked better, is because we were taking more shots deep than we are this year. You know what I mean? Like, it just looked like we were taking more shots. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't broken it down. I don't know if we are taking less shots this year down the field, but it's all right. Our run game's better this year than was last year.
Yes.
Our run game's more consistent this year than last year. I'll say it that way. I wouldn't necessarily say better, but more consistent, because it doesn't have to be a two-headed monster. We don't have to sub out in the middle of a drive. Samson can go for 20 straight plays. That would be, I think that's a plus for us this year. I do. I think tonight was a effective night. We did what we were supposed to do, get the win. You can tell we're not going to go get the flashy win outside of non-conference right now.
Apparently not.
That's okay, because that's SEC football. If we can just do what we're supposed to do for the next 2 weeks, to get ready for the last two with UTEP and Vandy, we got a chance at that point, because we're learning how to win hard games rather than going and just blowing out a UTC or an NC State. We're learning how to go, dang, this is a battle. Because if you want to be a championship caliber team, you got to learn how to win hard games. And we're learning that. It just, from a fan perspective, it sucks when it's not flashy.
There was also this factor right here. Major Luton in the comments says, "What happened to Max Gilbert? Can't kick to save his life." I would ask. Yeah, I would ask you that, Crime. He missed his 3 field goals, a couple that were, no field goal is just in the middle of, a heated SEC game is just a complete gimme. But there were a couple that I think would be considered gimmies, essentially, and he missed them, shanked them. Just ugly. Just the yips? What are That's bad.
I don't know about yips, but then again, kickers have a different mindset, because they get very few chances in a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you may get one punt. You may get a one field goal. You get 3 and you miss them all. That's tough. So the yips may start coming. I don't know if it was before tonight. Like I said at halftime, though, this is a what can you do for me now type of sport, right? So to me, look at Arizona State. I'm not saying we do this. It's not what I'm getting at. But look at Arizona State's coach a couple weeks ago in his post-game press conference. We're going to have kicking tryouts on Monday. I'm not saying we do that. Okay, he's only a freshman. I'm not saying we do that. But what I'm getting at is, like I said at halftime, if you're not getting the job done, we'll find somebody to get the job done. Also, look at our first drive in the second half. We drive down. We try to throw a middle receiver screen on 3rd and 8, I think it was. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Nimrod. Didn't even touch his soul. If he touches him, we score. Hey, if you ain't going to do your job, part of playing football and playing receiver is blocking.
Yeah.
You're not going to block, I'll find somebody to block.
That's to that point, in terms of Nimrod's Roll we talked about in the first half, just a nasty block that Mike Matthews laid down. Like
Mhm.
you have other options here. You do. And Nimrod, horrific drop, whiffing on a block.
I mean, there was an effort there because that was a really, really good drive.
Yes.
And then it was suddenly stopped and we got in the red zone. Once again, I'm not trying to not talk about the positives of the win. I'm talking about we're about to get into a point of the season that we're trying to go to the playoffs, so we've got to be realistic.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's an expectation. That's a standard at the University of Tennessee is to play a certain way. I'm not saying Nimrod's not playing at a high level, but when the opportunity is given to you to block as a wide receiver, that's how you earn catches. Look at Brew.
Yep.
Right.
I do think it's funny thinking about this field goal kicker situation and, next man up and finding a guy who can get the job done. It is weird to think about. So you missed 2 of those field goals in the first half. You would have, if he makes both of those, you would have had 13 points at the half. And so you wouldn't have been trailing at the half. And in the second half, you would have been up by more than double digits, essentially. After that,
they wouldn't have went for 2 because it wouldn't have mattered.
Yep. And I feel like the sort of general tenor of this game would have been maybe not completely different because you still would have had some pretty bad wide receiver drops and some stuff like that. And the defense, probably its poorest showing of the entire season tonight. You'd have those things to talk about, but as far as the offense goes, I'm not sure that we're, moaning over things that we are right now. If Max Gilbert just makes those field goals, the feeling would have been different.
I'm not going to disagree, but I watch it in a different perspective in the sense of why are we getting stopped in the red zone? Why do we do whatever it is? And I try to get into it in depth here, but I don't go into too much depth because it can get you can go down a rabbit hole, say it that way.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but getting very technical about certain things like that with what goes into it. But the reality is when you're a wide receiver and you don't block, to me, I'll find somebody that can block. Yes. It is that simple. You want to earn receptions, you block. And that same, hey, running backs, you want to earn carries, you got to also block on the edge and when we catch a pass. Or if in pass protection, you got to go stick your nose in there and hit a Mike back and blitzing up the A gap on block to go stick your nose in there. You want to earn carries. Samson did that for 2 years as a third stringer. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm like. That's what, and we're getting there. We are getting there. And I'm not trying to harp on those things after a good SEC win against a rival that is they're our rival. We don't really care.
I think you've set yourself up now. I talked about this at halftime. You've set yourself up now with this game against Mississippi State, who has easily by a pretty large margin the worst defense in the SEC. They have a pretty good offense actually, but easily the worst defense in the SEC. I mean, it is really bad. And
we need a good performance next week offensively.
You do, and possibly if you can run it up a little bit, get into the 40s, maybe like find these guys, find the person that you need to maybe replace Nimrod with. And if it's Matthews, I don't care if it's Matthews. I don't care who it is. If it's Caleb Webb, like I don't care. Find that person. Find whatever it takes to get that to all meld together before this Georgia game, because this is, obviously you can essentially seal up a playoff spot with this Georgia game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you still got to beat Vandy, of course, but like
Vandy.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But
that's how my brain works. Same thing with Kentucky. There was zero doubt in my mind about tonight because it's Kentucky.
Yes.
That's what's ingrained. And it's funny, I get to say us old heads now because of our age, but like the old heads and from the players, like that's what was ingrained in us from the day you got recruited. Is Kentucky's, Vandy's. There's never a conversation that you lose to them.
Yes.
Like in any, like that's just how it works. And so my brain doesn't process that. So to me, Vandy's Vandy is what it is. But so Pat Rose asked me, does the same thing apply to tight ends? 100% it does in my mind. And what we've got to do, and we're getting there. You can see it go. You can see it growing. What breeds the best players? That's a question I'm gonna ask you, Charlie. What breeds the best players?
I would go competition, and I think that's
100%. It is.
Yeah, Josh
So
Heupel
to
will tell you
me,
that.
and that's the thing. So competition breeds the best players, and competition. There's an old cliche: competition is the best coach. Competition is the best coach, and the reason why, if me and you are competing for the same position, Charlie, we're going to now end up holding each other accountable more. That the coach actually has to do less coaching in theory about like critiquing, because you're holding yourself so accountable that you hold to heart what the coach says so much that I don't have to correct you as much. I'm still correcting you, I'm still coaching you, but it feels like it's less because you are so intent as the player to not mess up and do everything right because you know you got somebody right on your heels. That's what we have to have at the receiver position or skill position. Is well, every position really, but I'm talking about with our skill players. That's where you have to have. They're like, all right, hey, you're not going to make the block. Let's go. You're in. Let's go.
That's why I always harp on, if you can find athlete leadership, that is worth its weight in gold, because it obviously that breeds that competition and guys holding each other accountable. And I just know from the time I spent in radio and was lucky enough to interact with a lot of guys off the 98 team and some of those dudes from the real glory days, that was always a through line where they were just like, if you weren't playing up to the standard, it wasn't a coach who was going to come and get after you. It was going to be another player who's going to go, you're messing with my money. Like
and that's the thing. So it's called a player-led locker room.
Yeah.
All exactly. Right. Where you fear dealing with your peers more than you do the coach.
And I think you really, really see that with Dylan Sampson. Extremely vocal, an absolute dog. Yep. And you just there's a bunch of videos of him in pregame and things where he is just out there with these dudes, leading cheers, doing out, getting everybody hyped. And that's so valuable. So just keep searching for that. And I think you're
we say all that to say tonight was a great night. We won another SEC game.
Yeah. 7-1,
4-1 in conference. A&M just got beat, so we're all tied at the top.
Yes,
like it's all around a good night. I'm just being critical because we're trying to get to that peak, and to do that, you've got to look in the mirror and be very critical of a lot of situations. We left points out there tonight. A win is a win is a win. An ugly win is better than a pretty loss. An ugly win is better than a pretty loss any day of the week. An SEC win is hard as hell to begin with. An SEC win against a team that hates you and cares so much about what you do and you don't give a damn about them is even harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting their best shot, and it's just another game to us.
You left a complete blowout out there on that field tonight. The Brazel drop, the Nimrod drop, so that's 2 touchdowns. So that would have been 42, and then 9 points with the kicker. So I mean, you're talking 51-18 is what you left out there, and that would have been style points, complete blowout, and that was at your fingertips.
Well, that's another reason why I'm trying to be critical. Ben Hall just made a great point. Clemson just got worked by a mediocre Louisville team. Clemson lost. So here's the thing: if Clemson doesn't win the ACC, Clemson ain't in. Now the ACC is down to Miami and SMU. SMU is ranked 20th, if I'm correct, 20th.
Yep.
Okay. So here's where my brain goes. This is why I'm being critical about making sure we do the little things correct, because we have a chance, even if I don't know the tiebreakers with, like, say it's us, A&M and Texas at the top. We haven't played each other. Don't know how the tiebreaker worked to go to Atlanta. No idea. Let's just say we're the one left out. Whatever. Well, we're still going to get in because the ACC probably won't get 2 in because of Clemson losing tonight. That's the reason why I'm being critical about wide receivers blocking. Doing what we're supposed to do, the old cliche from Bill Belichick, do your job, do the little things right, because they make the biggest difference. We are a damn good team. The sky's not falling. we haven't played to our best potential yet, and we're 7-1 and 4-1 in conference.
And you have the element this season of it's sort of March Madness like, where it's play right at the right time, and you could really do something special because if you can slip into that 12-team playoff, I don't care how you got to do it, ugly wins, beautiful wins, W's that get you to the playoff, get there, and then
and we're on our way. Because
yes.
I'm telling you, Georgia is not. You're right. We cannot overlook Mississippi State, but Georgia is not 2 years ago Georgia.
No, they're not.
They're a damn good team, but they're not 2 years ago Georgia at all. We go take care of business the next couple weeks. We have a legitimate chance to be in Atlanta, or if not Atlanta, depending on tiebreakers and all that, hosting a playoff game. It's all that matters. The end result is you can't win it if you ain't in it. The end result is to get in.
Exactly.
And tonight we took care of business to get in. And that's all that mattered. We got things to clean up. Not even close. 100% we do. But that's okay. That's if we ever say we don't have anything to clean up, then we're not, as a coach, you're not doing your job. And I'll be honest with you, like selfishly, I've talked about this like a little over a month ago. As a fan, I don't want us playing in Atlanta. I want us hosting a playoff game.
That would be the perfect setup.
From a fan's perspective, Atlanta, that's cool. That's a neutral site game. Bring your you know what to Knoxville, and let's see how that goes. That's what I want as a fan.
I honestly think we talked about it, I think, in past weeks, but like the ideal, you never want to lose. It would be so sweet to beat Georgia in Athens. There's no doubt about that, and I would cherish that for a long time. But honestly, losing to Georgia and blowing out, Mississippi State and Vandy, like some style points, and then you get in as like the 7 seed, and you'd get to host. I mean, right now, I don't know. So many people lost today. I'm not sure exactly how that would shake out.
Here's how to me how it plays out.
Penn State,
the ideal play out. We'll say it that way. Texas and Texas A&M got to play each other.
Yep.
All right. As long as we go 11-1, regardless of – so if we go 11-1, we're going to Atlanta because we got to play Georgia, and A&M and Texas have to play each other. We're the top 3, or technically we're the top 4 right now.
You probably play the winner of Texas A&M.
It's what it would end up being.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm fine with that because regardless, the winner's the number 1 seed or number 2 seed. The loser is going to get the 5 seed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so if we go 11-1, we're guaranteed to get in, and there's no way it's less than a 5 seed because of being 11-1 and playing in Atlanta. We win it, which, don't get me wrong, it'd be phenomenal to hang the banner. I would just be highly disappointed to not be able to see a playoff game in Knoxville. That's all I want.
And 5, you would get to, at least right now, you get to play Boise State and Ashton Jeanty. Yeah, and Ashton Jeanty, really, really good player. Boise State.
Utah State, Hawaii, and San Jose State, a little different.
They're a little bit of a product of their schedule. No offense to them, but
just saying.
Yes,
but back to tonight. I mean, we did what we were supposed to do, like stats, 28 to 38. Let's see, 74% completion percentage. We've talked about it before. That can be a little skewed because of some of the pass on our offense. 292, that's the high of the season. 1 touchdown. We ran it 44 times for 184 yards, a little lower than I typically want us to run the ball for, rushing yards wise. But effective when we had to be effective. Came out in the third quarter, started fast, did what we're supposed to do, got down there, should have scored early. Is what it is in that sense. But all around, good team win. Brooks getting another interception. Thought he was going to pick 6 it, which was, hey, that's 3 on the 3 picks And you can always say, oh, the interception was at the perfect timed moment, blah, blah, blah. But in some cases, it's really not. That was.
Yes.
That was at they were caught like on the fringe of the red zone, perfectly timed pick. We blitzed. He jumps the short route, underneath route, gets us down into our red zone. That was perfect. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the ultimate team game. Team. We've shown that we're a team. Our defense is going to hold us in games, and we're going to do what we got to do offensively. The only thing I want us to do, stop playing down to our competition.
Yes.
And play Tennessee football for 60 minutes. We do that, we play with anybody in the country. It's that simple.
It's just a really exciting opportunity that you have if you can keep your head screwed on straight. Like,
yes.
Just take advantage, because I mean, I think if you can just make it to that playoff spot, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And that's just obviously, like I said, it's exactly like March Madness. It's just so exciting. You just get that like, oh man, like we're here and we got a chance to do this thing with these other 64 teams or 11 teams. And just make it. We'll see how that goes. Now, as I always say, we got to pay the bills here. And I'll ask everybody this. We got a good amount of people watching, hanging out with us, commenting. We appreciate every single one of you. Tennessee 28, Kentucky 18, 7-1, Mississippi State next week. Drop into the comments if you are watching Facebook, YouTube, wherever you may be, and give us your one word for how you're feeling after that 28-18 Tennessee win. I guess that could come from behind win by Tennessee. If that's how you want to characterize it, ugly win. Maybe ugly is your one word, but drop in. Give us your one word in the comments for how you're feeling. Crompton and I will both give you ours, and we'll talk about it right after I tell you about the good folks at Farm Bureau Health Plans. Farm Bureau Health Plans have been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years. Much has changed in Tennessee over the years, but some has stayed the same. Farm Bureau has always valued personal relationships, especially when it comes to good health and good service. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for health, dental, and vision. For better coverage, better rates, and better service, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ or walk into one of their 200-plus locations across the state. That is fbhp.com/ATOZ. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Huge thank you to them. Again, one word for how you're feeling after a 28-18 win over Kentucky for Tennessee. I'll throw it to you first, Crump. What's your word?
Sorry, I was actually doing math real quick. I'll get to this in a second. No. That actually works out well for me. One word is it's kind of a phrase, so kind of like hashtag it.
Sure.
Best defense in the SEC. Statistically proven, we're giving up. We're giving up 0.3 points less per game than Texas in the SEC play. Even though they've only given up 70 points, we've given up 86. We've played one extra game. We're giving up 17.2. They're giving up 17.5. So, best defense in the SEC.
I think it's almost the story of this entire season. Is the defense, because I think tonight Kentucky's offense, they had that one kind of freak drive where the backup came in and made a couple of good throws. Ultimately, he finished with a really bad stat line and was kind of all over the place throwing the ball. But I don't think Kentucky was going to get it done tonight regardless. But this 20-point streak that this defense is on of holding teams under 20 is crazy. It's something I never thought that I would see with a Josh Heupel team at Tennessee. Not even anything close to this. Obviously, I think at the beginning we all thought we were going to be seeing, 45-42 every game, and that's what it felt like. It was that first season, and it just like I said, it's sort of the whole season wrapped up is just that defense. If that's the one word that you want to use, it's special, man, and that. To that point of what we were just talking about, where if you can just get in, give yourself that opportunity.
That's all it counts.
Defense travels, defense wins championships, however you want to say it. I mean, that.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that, so when you were given the talking a second ago about everything with our sponsors, and I started looking up, and I was like, huh, there's only one team giving up fewer points than us in SEC play. So I started doing averages. Well, they played one less SEC game than us, and that's Texas. So what did we just say? The winner, if we go play Georgia, Georgia has given up 132 points in 6 SEC games. So Georgia is giving up. They're giving up 22 points a game in SEC play. We're only giving up 17.2. Right? Statistically, we have the best defense in the SEC at the moment. And that's an SEC play. That is not overall where it's, you're playing UTC and all that. But yeah, no, we only gave up 13 points in non-conference play.
I think I saw somebody in the comments say it earlier. Like, if this is the worst performance of the season so far, you hold a team to 18 points and you are crushing their quarterback all night. You injure another quarterback. not that that's funny, and hopefully Vandergrift's okay. Yeah. But it's just become, Tennessee just hits these dudes so hard all night that they get hurt. I mean, that just is kind of the product of what happens with this defense. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I'll read some of these responses. One word for how you're feeling after Tennessee's 10-point win over Kentucky tonight. Joey says relieved. Quan says fight. Ethan, it's not one word. I don't know if this is actually his response, but he said Will White Chocolate Brooks. Man, Brooksy's on an absolute tear. What a season for him. Stressful, says Austin. Relieved. Terry, winner. Clayton, hungry, says James. Fair. Woo, says Ann. Billy Bob says belittled. Kentucky sucks. Devin, catch, survive, says SEC football. Uninspired, says Johnson. Chris says close. Hunter, dirty. I will go with encouraged, which is weird because at halftime I was losing my mind because it was another poor offensive half. And the reason that I am encouraged is because this was Nico Iamaleava's best game of the season. He looked across the board the most consistent that he has, the most focused and ready that he has, at least in SEC play. And it really comes down to what I was saying to you earlier, Crump. If you make the field goals, which at this point, I mean, we got to go find a kicker. You got to get that solved. But if you make the field goals and Brazel catches that touchdown and Nimrod catches that touchdown, which that one's still just, oh God, what are you doing, Nimrod? Like, son, catch that football. It's a 52-18 win. I mean, you're, like I said, fingertips away from a complete blowout in this game. And so you have Nico's best game in orange so far, in my opinion, plus you're a fingertips length away from blowout town.
This goes to what we talked about at halftime. I'm going to read a comment. And this is where I can't get on board with this. I know what you're saying. His name, John. Kentucky was second and third string everywhere. No way they should have scored 18 points. We didn't tackle out of position, not the best night. What did we talk about at halftime? They're going to give up one play and everybody's going to say, or not everybody, one person. Oh, the defense, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. You do know, and we talked about this when Vandy beat Alabama. I talked about this with a couple of my coaches after that game. We were sitting there BSing in our meeting room. The bottom line is Vandy and Kentucky still do have SEC caliber players. They're still Division I athletes. You know what I mean? Kentucky went down to the wire with Georgia. But this is the comment that solidifies how 98% of people are feeling. Ben Hall. I don't care how the win looks. That's 8 games in a row where a team hasn't scored 20 points. You know how hard that is to do in this league. Right. That right there is that, Ben, thank you for understanding 18. You average 18, only giving up 18 points a game in SEC play.
Unimaginable.
You know what I'm saying? Vandy scored 40 on Alabama or whatever it was.
At 40. Yep.
Was it 40? See what I'm saying? Like, You still got SEC caliber players. It doesn't matter what their quote unquote star is coming out of high school. They're still playing in the SEC. And so I just wanted to talk about that comment because I knew somebody would say something because our defense played freaking lights out tonight. That was a hell of a ball and a hell of a catch on the touchdown by Kentucky. And I hate to freaking say that. I'm telling you. I hate to say that. But that was a phenomenal catch. We had great coverage. He makes a one-handed over-the-shoulder catch in the end zone. There's nothing you can do with that.
Yep.
So,
and it was particularly sickening.
They still have SEC caliber players.
It was particularly sickening because they made that throw, and I think it was right after that. They were like, wow, look at that throw by Gavin Wimsett. Coming into this game, he was 3 for 11 with 2 interceptions. And I was like, what are we letting happen right now? But I do agree. It was kind of a freak thing. Ultimately, like I said, after that, he ended up, he could barely throw a forward pass. So it's all fine. Again, one word for how you're feeling after Tennessee's win tonight. Danny says progress. Phil, apprehensive. Sandy says dying. Mark, woo! Donnie, relieved. Unclean from Hunter. Barr says Ian, meh. From Sean, proud says Sandy and Paul. Both say proud. Timothy Rogers says playoffs.
There you go, Timothy.
Victor, close. The wise man says anxious. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, commenting. And I like close. I that is sort of it still feels like you're inching up to that put it all together performance, because it just seems like across the board, this may not be true every single week, and I hope it is, but it seems like your defense is always going to show up, barring injuries, and knock on every bit of wood that everybody stays healthy. But barring injuries, it seems like they're going to be showing up. But if you can just put that offense together, I mean, look at the second half. Look at what you can do. You allow 1 touchdown in that second half, and you score 21 points. Like, that is where you can go with this. And on top of that, you left a blowout win on the.
It's very simple offensively of what we have to do. Just don't lose it. Like the old cliche. Be a game manager. Hand the ball to Dylan Sampson. No, look, hand the ball to Dylan Sampson. Play action. And don't throw interceptions over the middle, because there was a comment first off in the show asked why we didn't throw the ball over the middle. I don't think we throw it over the middle right now because he throws high. Nico has a tendency to throw high over the middle at the moment. I mean, that's all right. He's young. So Heupel, being a good coach, says, just won't throw it over the middle very often. You know what I mean? Like, let's work on his weakness and build on his strengths. So honestly, defense is playing the way they're playing. Let's go score 25 to 30 points a game, hold them under 20, and go win ball games.
It's all it takes. Put it all together. And I mean, it's right there for you. Timothy leaves $10. We appreciate that.
Well, that's actually kind of what I was just going off of.
He said, our fans are always stargazing. Is it me, or did Heupel change his offensive scheme to whatever? You've been saying short to medium passing.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because I don't know if it's a culmination of Nico overthrowing over the middle or not trusting guys to make plays downfield. I don't know. I'm not in the meeting room. I think it's a combination of both, though. Notice early in the year we were throwing the ball over the middle, right? Balls would go high and we'd get upset and this and that, or we'd overthrow a go route. So we backed off on those. Now we start to sprinkle them back in a little more, just here and there on the outside, which is a good thing. But I have noticed that I know Squirrel's hurt with his shoulder. The only one that actually, I guess Thornton too. So 2 of them, Brew and Thornton, are the main ones that after a ball, whether they caught it or not, are the 2 that are sprinting back every play. Once again, competition makes the best coach. I'm just being honest.
Find whoever it is.
You see what I'm saying?
Find those guys.
Just notice when Brew or Thornton catch the ball, or it's overthrown, or they drop it, or whatever it may be, They sprint to the middle to hand the ball in because that's their rule. So the ball doesn't get lost in translation with the referees. That's how we can go quick. They run the ball to the umpire in the middle and then get back out wide. Or if it's a 50-yard deep ball, they get up and sprint back. Those are the only two receivers that I've seen do that. So I'm wondering, and this is, Timothy, to your comment, I think all that has kind of went into play of why everything's a lot shorter right now in the pass game.
I'm just looking at this. Stokely said, we need a Crompton versus Western Kentucky game for Nico when we play Georgia. I went and looked at this while you were talking. Do you know what your stat line was against Western Kentucky in 2009?
I don't care about stats, if you want to know the truth.
Like I was just interested. I was interested in that reference. You only threw for 233 yards, 21 to 28, but 5 touchdowns. So it was pretty efficient day, about as efficient as it could be, frankly. Ran for 380 yards that day. That Montario Hardesty had 160. Bryce Brown, man, he was on that team. Man, where is that guy now?
I remember.
But anyway, sorry. I just side note there because I thought that was a funny comment. All right, so as we always do, next week, Mississippi State. They are obviously, I think right now, considered the worst team in the SEC. At least in the first half, they got pushed a little bit by UMass today, which is not great, although ultimately they ended up blowing them out. They have a really bad loss to Tulsa, I think. And you know, they haven't won an SEC game. It's a tough road to hoe for Mississippi State. I think we think Tennessee will win, but I'll ask it to you this way. Does this feel like the game where both defense and offense come together to have a complete game?
I think so, because if you look at it, and once again, I'm not a huge stat guy, but I also understand that when you go over the course of a season, numbers do kind of even out like these. In 5 SEC games, they're only averaging, they're averaging giving up 42.6 points a game in SEC. Okay. I don't know their schedule. I haven't looked at that. But they're averaging round up, giving up 43 points a game in the 5 SEC games. So I'm not saying we got to score 40 or 50, whatever. But this has to be the game that we go out there and dominate from top to bottom. It's essentially, this is the closest we're going to get before a big game like Alabama used to do before Auburn without playing an FCS school. At the moment, you know, that's where Mississippi State is at.
Yeah.
So this is our tune-up game right before. We need to go out there and be dominant as hell. And our starters in reality don't need to play past the third quarter if everything goes well. But that's, you know, to do that, we got to take care of business. That's what I envision. And Stokely just asked about getting Nico involved in the run game. I do think we need more, not design quarterback runs, but more zone reads. He is effective in the run game. He's not going to lower shoulder and truck anybody. He's going to get you a positive 5 or 6 and get out of bounds. Well, if we average 5 or 6 yards per quarterback run, 2nd and 4 is so much easier to call than 2nd and 10. You know, so I agree with that completely. We do need to get that involved. This would be the week to do it, or next week.
I hope it is, and that it sort of thrusts Tennessee into that Georgia game with a lot of confidence, and kind of hopefully it has them manifesting that win in Athens. Lordy, I certainly hope so. It's gonna be another late one yet again.
Yeah.
Will we ever have a Saturday where the post game doesn't go till 1 a.m.?
Oh, I know. Let's while you're doing that, I'm pulling up our schedule. Well, UTEP is at 1 p.m., so that helps.
That is nice, and I believe the Vandy game is already set for
I haven't.
Hey.
It's not on ESPN.
And frankly, I would say thank goodness. There's no home field advantage for Vandy, but
well, there can be, and if you're not Tennessee.
Well, yeah, and there's just been a weird voodoo around that place this season. So I say just make it early. Obviously 12 there is going to be 11 a.m. start time, so it's local.
True.
And I'm all for that. So yeah, I
thought I saw a thing.
We'll know our fate early in the day that day.
Yeah, so Mississippi State is either 7 or 7:45.
Yeah,
they haven't announced the time, but it is a late kickoff.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like the lead. It's not going to be 7:30 on ABC or anything like that.
No, so it's either it says
Alabama LSU next week.
Well, it's got on the football Instagram account 7 o'clock ESPN or 7:45 SEC Network. They hadn't announced it yet.
I'm gonna go 7:45 SEC Network.
That's what I think.
If I had to bet on that one, but hey, regardless, we will be here. Anything for the folks at home before we bounce out of here, Crom?
No, just appreciate all the comments. I know we can't get to everybody, but love interacting with everybody. It's fun. Enjoy the season because we can't guarantee the future on how everything plays out. So enjoy the crap out of it. Enjoy every win, and hopefully we have a. Yes, I want to hang a banner for the SEC championship game, but I really want a home playoff game. I'm sorry.
So badly.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, it would be so awesome. So awesome.
I really want a home playoff game. I'm being selfish right now. And I know that.
We need it like I need oxygen, man.
But honestly, now there's no way for us to get a home playoff game. And I could be wrong. I don't see it happening unless we play in Atlanta because with A&M losing,
if you had
us up there and us up there, if we go 10-2, I don't know if we'll be in, but I don't think we're higher than 8, so it wouldn't be a home game.
If you had it fall the way it did in 2022. I think you ended the regular, although it makes it weird with the automatic buys with the champions of the league.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but if it did fall like it did in 2022, you finished 7th, which you would host. If I'm thinking correctly, I think it was.
Yes, but see, after the top 4, yes, it's the quote-unquote highest ranked teams, but it's subjective.
Yeah.
They've even admitted it's all subjective. Conference schedule comes into play, strength of schedule, opponents win percentage, all that. So if we go 10-2, I think we're in, but I think we'd be like a 10 or 11 and playing on the road. So now I think the only way to get the home playoff game is to go to Atlanta and not win. So if we're going to Atlanta, might as well win the damn thing.
Well, and if 2022 played out the same, you would have made the SEC championship game that year. If it was the way that it's set up now, you would have made the SEC championship game that year.
I'm just going with again. Imagine it. I don't care. You can go look at all the rankings of this stadium and this stadium and this stadium, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a damn. Ask the players that have played, not Tennessee players. Ask players that have played in Neyland. Then ask Tennessee players that have played in other stadiums. You bring the typical Big Ten team, Pac-2 now, the old Pac-12, sure as hell Big 12, to a night game in Neyland, get your mind right. It's different.
They've been nearly unbeatable. The only team that's been able to beat Tennessee since 2021 in Neyland Stadium is Georgia, as the only and they won a juggernaut Georgia team. So,
but that's my thing. It's like selfishly, that's what I want. I just don't know if there's a road for that at the moment.
It'd be tough.
I just, like I said, that's just because I just want to go to the game. That's why.
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm being so selfish in this. I want us to win the SEC championship game, but I also want to just see a home playoff game at night in Neyland in person.
It will be Unreal.
But like I said, if the only way to get there is to lose in Atlanta, screw it. Might as well win the damn thing if we're going to go to Atlanta.
Well,
Stokely
said it best. He said, Crump has been a damn good addition.
I appreciate it.
UT coverage. He said, keep up the good work. We appreciate that, Stokely.
I appreciate that.
Donnie said he enjoyed the show. Well, we enjoy everybody tuning in, commenting. I always say it, but I genuinely mean it. We could not do this without you. You guys are the reason that we're able to do this show and keep it rolling. So thank you. We will be back next week with the Mississippi State game halftime post game right here, specifically A to Z Sports Tennessee Volunteers. Go there and subscribe. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers there, closing in. So go get us to that goal, and we greatly appreciate it. I think that's a show. Awesome stuff, Crump. Alrighty, we will see everybody. Yeah, we will see everybody next week.